What's going on, guys? Welcome to Code with Us and welcome to your first decision making tutorial in Java. Now in this tutorial all we're going to go over is very basic if statements and if else statements. Now obviously because of that I'm going to assume that by clicking onto this video you at least have a basic understanding on how variables work and what you can do with them. If you don't, I do recommend you quickly go and familiarise yourself with those variables and then join us so you can obviously follow along. But anyway, without further ado, let's just jump straight into it. So decision making. Obviously with decision making you want to do it because you only want to execute a specific section of code based on another piece of information, right? So for example, int age equals 18. Actually, let's just do my age 20. So let's say if I want to execute code based on if this variable right here is greater than 18, which it is, but let's say, because obviously we can change it, so that will be the example. So let's say if this variable, so we're going to say if age, so the variable age, which is an integer, is greater than or equal to 18, whatever's within these two curly brackets of course will be executed. So we're going to say system.out.println you're legally allowed to drink in the UK. Okay, so I know I've just explained it, but let me just go over it again just to make sure you're fully aware of what we've just done here. So what we're doing is we're conditioning age, and we're going to say if this variable age, which is an integer, is greater or equal to 18, which it is at least for now, run this bit of code. Okay, so let's just go ahead and run this file. There you go. Because age is greater than 18 or equal to 18, we've printed this out. However, let's change this to I don't know, let's say 15. Then run. Nothing's going to print out because this condition is not met. Now let's quickly jump into an else statement. So we're going to say else. So this basically means if it's not greater than or equal to 18, anything less than 18 will be met. Okay, that condition will be met. So we're going to say otherwise, if it's not this, it can only either be less than 18. Okay, so it's just basic understanding of variables. So then we're going to say system.out.println you're not legally allowed to drink in the UK. Okay, so now we're 15. Obviously that's going to be printed out. There you go. You're not legally allowed to drink in the UK. So with condition age, we've made sure that if it's greater or equal to 18, it will print this out. Otherwise, it can only be less than 18, right? So it's going to print this out as it did then. Okay, so that's the first example with integers. Now I'm going to show you a quick Boolean example. So let's quickly go into that. So Boolean, I don't know, can drive. Okay, and we're going to set that to true. So of course, in order to condition this variable, we're going to use an else if statement. So we're going to say if can drive equals true. This is optional. You don't even need to put this. You can just have that. But I think it's easier to understand when you're first learning about conditioning to include equals true and equals false. Okay. So if can drive equals true, which it is true, right? Equals. All that means is equals. It's just in the programming, typically you put, well, I say typically, it's practically all the time, you put equals. So if can drive equals true, which it is, we're going to say system.out.println I don't know, congrats, you're allowed to drive. Else, and because a Boolean can only either be true or false, this can only ever be true or false, as I just said, so this has to be false. So system.out.println you have to wait before you can drive. Or learn how to drive, I guess. Okay. So what's going to happen here? Well, because this is true, it's going to print this out. And this is going to be ignored because, you know, it meets this condition, and that's it. Let's go ahead and test that. Congrats, you're allowed to drive. Now let's say I can't drive. You have to wait before you can drive or learn how to drive. Okay guys, I know this was a very, very short and very bare bones basic tutorial, but that's what we're aiming for. And of course, as we go further on into the series, we'll get more and more complicated, but for now, that is the very basics on how to use an if statement and an else statement with Java. And obviously we use booleans and integers. You can of course use a double to condition. You can use any variable. You can even use a string. So of course we're going to explain that in future videos, so don't worry if you haven't felt that you've got all of your knowledge. We just want to keep these in bite-sized chunks for you to understand. So thank you for watching guys, and I hope you did enjoy, and I certainly hope you learnt something. And if you have any comments, please do leave them in the comments section below and we'll get straight back to you. But other than that, cheers.